3 rate cuts could be coming faster than anyone expected, and yes, the Fed is finally blinking. Most people think lower rates are only good news for Wall Street. But for crypto, the impact could be absolutely explosive, or catastrophic. Big names like Mohamed El-Erian and Tom Lee are already warning that the Fed might be forced into jumbo cuts, just like in 2020. And every single time this has happened before. Bitcoin and Ethereum went wild. But this time, the stakes are even higher. In this video, I'll break down exactly what 3 upcoming cuts could mean for you, how they could supercharge the next crypto rally, and the one hidden risk almost nobody is talking about. But here's the question, is this really the beginning of a massive crypto boom, or the setup for the next financial bubble? Globally, central banks have already made 88 rate cuts this year alone, the fastest pace since 2020. Canada, the ECB, and others are moving aggressively. And now, the Fed is under pressure to follow. The probability of a jumbo 50 basis point cut in September has suddenly jumped to 10%. Just last week, that number was 6%. If it rises to 20% before the FOMC meeting, markets could be caught off guard, and when markets get caught off guard, volatility explodes. Why does this matter for crypto? Simple, Bitcoin and Ethereum are hypersensitive to liquidity. Every cut means cheaper money. Every cut means more capital flowing into risk assets. And guess what? Crypto is the ultimate risk asset. But here's where it gets tricky, because rate cuts don't just pump prices. They also expose the weak spots in the system. Economists like Mohamed El-Erian argue the Fed has been too slow, focusing too narrowly on jobs while ignoring deeper cracks. Lower income households are already struggling. By cutting late, the Fed risks doing too little, too late, and then panicking with oversized cuts. And history shows us, when that happens, markets don't just rise. They blow up. Think back to 2000. Rate cuts poured fuel on the dot-com bubble. Stocks soared, and then $7 trillion evaporated almost overnight. Crypto could face the same dynamic, a parabolic rally, followed by a brutal correction. And the scary part? This cycle is moving even faster than the dot-com era. So the real question is, if the Fed cuts 3 times, do we get a sustainable crypto bull run, or a bubble ready to burst? Tom Lee thinks the answer is clear. He's calling for Bitcoin to double by year-end, hitting $200,000. And historically, Q4 has always been strong for crypto, especially when rate cuts kick in. At the same time, Ethereum is flexing its muscle. Stablecoin supply on Ethereum just hit an all-time high of $165 billion. That's not retail hype, that's institutional demand. Combine cheaper capital with rising stablecoin adoption, and you've got the perfect setup for Ethereum to move alongside Bitcoin. But there's a risk almost nobody is talking about. Where will cheap capital flow? Into jobs and businesses, or into AI, robotics, and financial speculation? If too much money bypasses the real economy, the Fed could spark another bubble instead of real growth. And this is where things get really interesting, because history shows us that every Fed mistake creates massive winners. And massive losers. Bank of America's top strategist is even projecting the S&P 500 peaking at nearly 10,000 in 2027. That's more than double from here. If he's right, the entire global financial system is heading into uncharted territory. For crypto investors, this isn't just about Bitcoin or Ethereum mooning. It's about survival. Because in an environment of rate cuts, liquidity surges, and potential bubbles, the coins and projects with real adoption will thrive, while weaker ones will collapse. So here's the bottom line, 3 rate cuts are coming. If the Fed moves too late, they risk fueling another bubble. If they cut aggressively, they risk breaking the system. Either way, crypto is going to feel the shockwaves. Bitcoin could double. Ethereum could soar. But the volatility will be brutal, and only those prepared will come out stronger. This isn't just about watching prices. It's about knowing when to act, and when to sit still. My prediction? If we see a 50 basis point cut this September, Bitcoin could test $150,000 before year-end. Ethereum could follow toward $10,000. Do you think we'll see 3 cuts this year, and will it spark a sustainable bull run, or just the next big bubble? Drop your take in the comments, I'll be responding to the best ones. And if you got value from this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe. The next few months could define the entire future of crypto.